Ghana's built environment continues to see a sharp rise as new facilities like schools, hospitals, high-rise office, residential complexes, and recreational parks continue to spring up. There is, however, concern that the construction of many of these facilities have been done without the crucial input of the master builders, the architects.
Here at Opebia, we have a major intersection with different roads leading you to various parts of the national capital and out of it. The road behind me leads you straight to the Tetekwashi roundabout and out of Accra. This very one leads you to 37, which takes you straight to Accra, and the very one in front of me will take you straight to Kaokudi and other parts of the capital. But the unfortunate thing is that if you look around here, there are no signages at all telling you where a particular road leads to. So if you are a visitor and you are in town, your guess is as good as mine. It is highly likely you get missing.
Right from the start, many projects lack certain basics of construction and planning. No directional signs on roads, lack of proper divisions on roads under construction. That's not all. There is also the difficulty in using footbridges in Ghana. Even though the newly constructed bridges have provisions made for both the physically challenged and the able-bodied, there aren't any of such provisions made for the old ones that continue to serve a good number of the population. Places of worship also fall short of the barrier-free concept. The 2000 Mosque in Adabraka, a suburb of Accra, has this long staircase as the main access route for worshippers who visit the mosque. The situation makes the facility inaccessible to the physically challenged. The development, according to the registrar of the Architects Registration Council of Ghana, Stella Na Jagbele Ahiaba, is because Ghanaians have over the years failed to value the place of architects in the country's built environment. She, however, warns that the larger population could pay gravely if the trend continues.
The architect begins with a concept and carries it through, and so many factors are considered in coming up with a concept and in designing a house. The lay person may see lines, a lot of lines, but every line has a meaning. Every symbol on the drawing has a meaning, and leaving out any one of them brings a lot of cost to lives, cost to property, cost to investment. If a building is designed or a building is constructed without the involvement of an architect, you may see the building beautiful on the outside, but functionally, how does it work? A lot of people have developed sicknesses and diseases not because of anything, but because of the building they live in.
Can we then safely say that the collapse we've had over the years can be attributed to the fact that we've not taken into consideration the work or the role of architects?
Largely, because architects work with engineers. The architect does the design. The architect decides where the building columns should be. The architect decides where beams should be and all that, and then the engineer details it out. Most times in the course of construction, people decide to engage builders and leave out the architects and the engineers. And so the builders, through whatever, decide to cut corners. They put up the building, and the strength, that the building would have been designed from the beginning is not adhered to. You understand? So buildings are put up and they collapse. Now, where there is a problem, even if an engineer is on a project, we always make room for escape. Every building must have an escape route. Where buildings have not been designed by architects, you find out that most times they don't have any room. And then where engineers also consider what we call safety factor. In designing a structure, they work out some allowances. Where these have been shortchanged, you find out that the buildings are there, they have not been built according to what has been designed, or they have not been designed for in the first place because the client has decided to cut costs by going to somebody else who is not trained for. And then you find out that these buildings come down, and you know what happens. People lose their lives.
That notwithstanding, a few facilities have been built to be accessible to all. The Accra Mall is one of the few complying with the concept, with directional signs strategically positioned to aid patrons. A baby changing room and a toilet facility for persons with disability. The coaches of the train that plies Accra to Tema also has a place for persons from all walks of life.
When the law on persons with disability, the Act on Persons with Disability, Act 715, was passed, government gave a 10-year moratorium that every facility, every public facility should be disability friendly. And that grace period ended in August this year. We have seen that people have put in ramps, and at various places, but it is not only ramps that are needed. As I said, there are some persons who do not have fingers, but they have legs. They can climb the steps, but they don't have fingers. So how do they turn the doorknob to enter a public place? You understand? So what we are advocating is that it is not only ramps. It is not only ramps, but there are more, to it. Doorknobs, even there are people who are blind. They can walk, but they are blind. How easy do we make facilities, available to them? We have tactile marks that help them to know that they are changing level, or that help them to know that there is a door here. We have door sensors and all that. So all those things are part.
The concept of barrier-free is well taken care of by this facility, giving people from all walks of life, regardless of your physical disability or otherwise, accessibility to the National Museum of Science and Technology is unparalleled.
People with disability, when they come around, we make sure that we have enough materials as science exhibits for them to see.
How about people who are deaf?
Yeah, the people, for the blind people, as I told you, they come with people who are the guardians. So we try to explain some of the things to them, and some of them we even try to put what we call the Braille, with the, especially with the Science and Tech exhibition. Braille was also added so that when they come, and then they can also read some of the tests, understand some of the things that are there, apart from the information the curators and the educational officer will be giving them. So
now here we have staircase. How do people in wheelchairs get access to the first floor?
The first floor. Yeah. That is what I was explaining to you. So when people come here, we make sure that at least whatever exhibition that they need to have within the first floor, we do that. So we don't actually bother them of going to the first floor. And one other thing that we do, the first floor sometimes is used as a place to run other programs which may not necessarily have to involve people with disabilities.
And meaningfully, we have to give a lot more education on this very subject, but we'll also look at what the institutional bodies are doing to help promote the level of awareness and the information that is needed to mark the day, and also for the general public to be a lot more aware on the subject. And that's why we have Mrs. Stella Diaba, who is a registrar of the Architects Registration Council. And thanks for joining me. A very good morning to you.
Good morning.
I love your hair.
Thank you.
And Dr. Alex Boachi Mafo is a lecturer, the Department of Akito, or that's the Palance, as far as students are concerned. But it's the Department of Architecture, the KNUS, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. It's also a privilege to have you.
Yeah,
Thank
you very much.
But more importantly, I have to start with you. This is the first time I'm hearing of the Architect Registration Council. Is it a statutory body?
Yes, the Architects Registration Council is the government regulatory body for the architectural profession. As you know, professions whose activities affect human lives, are regulated by law. So you find the profession of medicine being regulated, pharmacy being regulated, and the like. So the work of architects are also regulated by law, and that is the Architects Act 1969, NLCD 357. That is the law or the act that regulates the practice of architecture.
Sounds very interesting. And so it means that all architects are compelled or are obligated to become members of the council?
Yes, they are obligated to take license. We issue license to architects to practice, just the same way Medical and Dental Council issues licenses to medical practitioners to practice. And that the regulatory body is different from the Institute of Architects. The Institute of Architects is the, let me call it the Association of Architects. But then the regulatory body, which is backed by law, is the Architects Registration Council. And you need a license after you complete your 6 years at KNUST or any other school of architecture. You do your 2 years minimum practical training. You write a professional exam, and then you get a license to practice.
Very interesting as it is. So the kind of license you give, is it for both individuals and institutions?
Yes, yes. We give license to individuals, we give license to firms, and we give license to corporate bodies that have architectural units, like the Development Office of Legon, the Development Office of KNUST, no, not SNIT, AESL. AESL is a firm, actually.
It's the government...
AESL is a 100% government-owned architectural firm.
Yes.
So they have a license to practice.
They call them the Architectural Engineering Services?
Yes, Architectural Engineering Services Limited. That's
but I have to come to you, Dr. Marfo. Yes. So you go to school, you come out as an architect. But then we, the individuals in the society, tend to assume you only work on the big projects because you don't work on the small projects. Is that the case?
Good morning. Good morning to your viewers as well. And I must say that yes, architects, we serve the society, and right from the small WC area to the largest one, like the airports, the harbors, the industrial buildings, everything, we serve the community. And even in this particular case, that is the more reason why we realize that a section of what we are supposed to be doing for the society is almost oblivious, and that is the reason we are moving into making sure that awareness is also created concerning persons with disability issues are brought to fore, like that we don't just design the exotic resorts and the restaurants and the big stadiums and other things, but small places like the playgrounds, small places like even the shops, the pharmacy shops, anything that's habitable, the structures that people use. That's also the work of the architect.
Very interesting as it is, and I know that you're focusing this year's theme on what?
We are looking at design a better world. Today is World Architecture Day, actually, and the theme for the day is design a better world. We are focusing on barrier-free designs, barrier-free or universal design. And we are looking at making every facility, every space accessible, usable, and approachable to everybody. No matter your condition, no matter your age, no matter your ability or disability, every facility, public, private, must be accessible, usable to everybody. So that's what we are focusing on today, World Architecture Day.
And I know that we're picking your main activity that you'll be organizing at 9 a.m. Just after the AM show. But I know of a famous Ghanaian architect. Is it David Ajayi?
Yeah.
He trained in the UK, so that's okay for all of us. But the thing is that it's about affordability. Let's talk about that before we even come to the services that we have to render to the vulnerable or the sectional groups in our population. Affordability of your services.
Yes, I think our services are really affordable. If you look at...
Who told you that?
I'm an architect and I practice, and I'm also using, giving service. For instance, your jacket that you're wearing, if you look at how long you're going to really be wearing this jacket, maximum 12 months, you'll be taking it off. And
I've actually been wearing it for almost close to 2 years now.
Yeah, let's say 4 years, you will take it off. But the building in which you are going to stay, 50 years, you're going to be minimum 50 years, you're going to be staying in it. So if you look at the designer dress that you put on, and some of them are costing $500, $1,000, $2,000, and you ask yourself, so if you pay the designer to do a dress that will last for 4 years, $500, and you want to stay in a house for 50 years, if you do the mathematics, how much do you want to pay such a person? But putting that aside, you realize that most of the things that we do, we don't do it alone as architects. We do it also with the engineers, with the consurveyors, with the planners, and all the mechanical engineers, everybody together. So at times, people have the misconception and they lump all the other services together that the architect is charging all these things, but because we normally lead the consulting team. So by the time you realize it's only a small percentage of the money that really goes to the architect, the rest are shared among the team players. And actually, it's really affordable.
What really goes into it when, let's say you look at our society and the needs of the population, per what the building and construction needs are, that you have in mind if you want to be accessible, so to speak?
I didn't get
in terms of what comes to your mind in terms of whether people are not able to afford, or perhaps they lack some level of awareness, or there's a lack of enforcement of regulations, and so that also dovetails in the subject of non-accessibility of your services.
Our services.
Okay.
I think
I'm talking to you from the practical and the academic point of view.
Yeah, I think that
she looks at the.
I think that from if the service is not affordable, for instance, there are a number of times that, especially at KNUST, we send the services to the community. There are a number of times that the project, for instance, the second and the third years, always take what we call the rural survey and the urban survey, that they take a community and they try to troubleshoot some of the major problems over there, bring sustainable solutions to them, and discuss with the community members, so that then the various government parasitic organizations can pick on the solutions that they have given, then implement them. So if you come to KNUST right now, currently the third and the second year students are about going out there for this particular survey. On the field to do some of these things, and it is pro bono, because they don't charge the community anything and they don't ask anything. And these are some of the things that goes on. And a lot of, when I was in school, that's around 1998, 99, we did a survey, and if you go to Kumasi right now, the embankment that you see when you're entering, you see that now people are putting adverts and all those things. Around that time, when we were in the second, third year, we did a similar scheme like that. And we never thought that 8 years later, things of that sort will even emerge. But we thought we were just doing class assignments, and it has come. So most of the things that we do, if you approach an architect, if you even don't have the money and you approach an architect, we will definitely find a tailor-made solution for you. And if you need any information also from us, you can come to the architecture house at Ridge, or come to KNUST, and we are there to help you with any information that you need.
As you mark the day, as you look at the central theme also, how do you dovetail that into the needs of the society? You look at affordability, you also look at how people can access the services of the general architect, and whether people are even aware that perhaps the prices or the rates may not be that high and that they could have afforded it.
That is why, you know, we take every opportunity we get to inform the general public. It's a big misconception, and I don't know who began it, that the services of the architect are expensive. I wish I could get that person. You know, it's a big misconception that has gone on. And as someone has said, if you think, you know, going to school is expensive, try ignorance. It is far more expensive to do without the architect than to do with the architect, you understand? You know, the architect looks at your situation, designs for you, but does not look at you alone, but looks at the entire environment as a whole, you understand? So architecture is not only it may be your building, it may be your facility, it may be your playground, but it is not for you alone. It is for the entire society. You may be the direct user, somebody else will be a passive user. So when you look at all that, and as Dr. Mafo said, the team that come into play, it is not expensive at all. Today, as we said, we are promoting the work of the architect, and we are saying that facilities must be designed by architects and facilities must be barrier-free. In, I think, 10 years ago or so, we passed the Disability Act, and government gave 10 years for every facility to be compliant. Now, let's go around and see how many buildings are compliant, not only to those who are physically challenged, I mean, whose limbs are not functioning properly, but there are so many other dimensions to it. And the architect has been trained to discern all these issues and address them. You understand me? Now, if you look at the contribution the architect makes to society, both directly and indirectly, you would give your everything for the architect. If you think about cost, you will not do much. The architect services are not expensive, and this is what we want people to know. The architect designs for everybody, every Tom, every Dick, every Harry. And so today, as we mark World Architecture Day, and we are talking about barrier-free or universal designs, we are saying that talk to an architect. You'll be amazed what you will get from the architect. You'll be amazed what you will have to pay for it. Very little companies or services engineers. The quantity surveyors fees are in. So you find about 6 or so people in the team whose fees are built into the fee that the architect will give you.
Wow.
You understand? So don't brand the architect as expensive. Know that there are people involved. He works with people. He has overheads to service and all that. But we are saying that talk to an architect to get whatever design you are looking for. The architect will make it barrier-free. The architect will make it accessible to everybody, including yourself.
I know it's once you want to embark on a project, it means you are paying a number of engineers for it. Yeah. Structural engineer, electrical, etc. But sometimes you look at if you're very much interested in the art and the way the outlook of buildings are, you really would have to appreciate the way the architect tend to conceive a number of things and what they dream about. What do you think is lacking then in the current states in which we are and the way our country is developing as a middle income one that would then warrant that we have to take seriously the services of you and the other professionals you work with?
Looking at what is happening currently in the urban fabric, I think that it's necessary that we look at it again, because during the post-oil economy in most of these countries, the post-oil economy, a lot of money gets into the hands of people, and people also have enough money, and they travel and see a lot of things that they just want it also to happen in their homes and other things. But if you talk to an architect and you have seen a building in Dubai or you've seen a building in New York or Germany and you think you want a similar one here, and if you talk to an architect, the architect is able to tailor-made that particular structure to suit this particular environment. But if you don't talk to an architect and you just take the drawings and you bring it to the system,
you build and then it's sinking after some few years.
There is a case in Kumasi right now, and I told my students that I think I will take them to the site. Whoever the client and the owner of the building built a 4-story structure, tiled the whole structure, and the building started sinking. So KMA put on it that they have to remove the building. The building is almost about $500,000 that have been built. Now the cost of removing the building from the place is so huge, and taking away the debris is so huge that the client has abandoned the place. So you can imagine that if you are supposed to have paid the client, the architect and the engineers, even let's say $20,000, would you have gotten your $500,000 facility going down, and now nobody is able to use it, and it has been there for the past 3 or 4 years?
Well, good point to this. But you have a formal program, so you're doing a launch or something of the sort, or an awareness program? And where is it?
We are, as I said, celebrating World Architecture Day today. And today we are saying Ayiko to all architects. The theme, as we mentioned earlier, is Design a Better World. World Architecture Day is actually celebrated the world over by the Union of Architects, International Union of Architects. And we as promoters and regulators are also joining the Ghana Institute of Architects to celebrate. The program is starting at 9 this morning at the GS Plaza. GS Plaza is close to Gulf House, around the Tetekwashi interchange. And that is where all roads lead to this morning. We are celebrating the day with everybody. We are not only encouraging architects and urging them on, in spite of the challenges we face, in spite of the misconceptions and all that. We are asking our architects to forge on and do their good work. We can transform our nation. We can transform. Architecture is a tool for development. It is not only a craft or an art or somebody's job, but it's a tool for development. I always say that when you go to wherever, South Africa, wherever, you say South Africa is a beautiful place. You can never know what money is there in somebody's pocket, but you look at the place and you say this is a beautiful place. What we are saying is that don't let us only say that, talk about Ghanaian hospitality. Let us also talk about the beauty of the environment in this nation. And it is the architect that will bring this to pass. I can imagine.
I'm sure your houses are very beautiful. And that'll be it for this morning. And that very event, which will take place at the JS Plaza, will be telecast live on this very channel. Joy News is where you have to be after the show. We'll bring you that very event marking the World Architect Day. We've had in the studio Mrs. Stella Adiaba, who is the Registrar of Architects Registration Council, and also Dr. Alex Boache Mafo. He is a lecturer with the Department of Archito, or Architect, the KNUST. I think those of us who are friends who study architecture will tell you I want to study Archito. All right.
Let's wish all architects a happy celebration.
Okay, so you say.
Well, we want to take the opportunity to wish every architect a happy celebration. We say that keep on the good work. Keep on the good work. Together we can transform our nation. Happy celebration, all architects.
Together we can transform our nation for a better Ghana. All right, so we're taking a break. When we come back, we'll have AM Talk.